All right, so you're getting ready for a Fisheries Observer interview.
That's pretty cool.
It really is, right? It's a super important job.
Yeah.
Making sure that we have sustainable fishing practices out there on the open water.
Yeah, definitely.
And we've got all of your RoleCatcher resources here.
Okay.
And we are going to be taking a deep dive into their career guide, their interview guide,
That's good.
and the FAQs to really give you that extra edge.
Awesome.
So think of this deep dive as your prep session for not just answering those tough questions, but really knocking them out of the park.
Yeah, I think what's really fascinating about this role is how it blends scientific rigor with real-world on-the-ground action.
Absolutely.
You're collecting data, yes, but you're also navigating these complex human interactions and potentially even confronting illegal activities.
Right.
It's a very dynamic position that requires a unique blend of skills.
For sure. And speaking of skills,
Okay.
let's jump right into some of those sample interview questions so you can start prepping now.
Okay, sounds good.
One of the common questions that you might encounter is, tell us about your experience working in the fishing industry.
Right.
Now, you might be thinking, what if I haven't actually worked on a fishing boat?
Yeah, that's a good point. And this is where those transferable skills come in.
Okay.
The interviewers really want to see if you have the foundational experience for this role, so you have to think back to any experience where you've meticulously collected data,
Okay.
maybe in a lab setting.
Yeah.
Or perhaps you've volunteered for a conservation group where you had to follow strict protocols. Those types of experiences really demonstrate your attention to detail, your ability to follow procedures,
Right.
qualities that are pure gold for a fisheries observer.
It makes total sense, right?
Yeah.
It's about highlighting those experiences that show you can be reliable and accurate,
Yeah,
even under pressure.
definitely.
Building on that, another question that they might ask is, how would you ensure accurate data collection in the field?
Okay, so this is where you can really shine by showcasing your technical knowledge.
Yeah. You want to mention specific techniques that you'd employ?
Okay.
Maybe double-checking your data entries, using a GPS to very precisely mark fishing locations,
Okay.
or even discussing specialized software that you're familiar with for recording catch data.
Right.
You don't want to just list them, though. You have to explain why these methods matter.
Yeah,
You have to connect them back to the bigger picture of fisheries management.
I like that.
Explain how consistent, accurate data is really the bedrock of effective stock assessments
Yeah.
and ultimately sustainable fishing.
So you're not just showing them that you know how to collect data.
Exactly.
You're demonstrating that you understand the impact of that data
Yeah,
and why precision is paramount.
that's a really good way to put it.
Okay, are you ready for a question that digs a little deeper into the human element of this job?
Bring it on.
All right, it's a tough one. How would you handle a situation where you needed to confront a fisherman about potentially illegal activity?
This is where things can get a little tricky.
Absolutely. This question really tests your ability to balance diplomacy with a firm understanding of the regulations. So you'll want to convey that you can clearly articulate those regulations
Okay.
while maintaining a calm and professional demeanor. De-escalation skills are really vital here.
Right.
The goal is to ensure compliance without escalating the situation.
Right.
Remember, you're representing the ethical standards of fisheries management.
Yeah.
And maintaining those standards is absolutely crucial for the long-term health of the ecosystem.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
You are an ambassador for sustainable fishing practices.
For sure.
And sometimes that requires a very delicate balance of assertiveness and diplomacy.
Absolutely.
Now, before we jump into more questions, I want to take a quick pause and touch on how RoleCatcher can help you tailor your answers.
Oh, that's a good idea.
So one of the most helpful features that I think is really cool is RoleCatcher's AI-powered job description analysis. It can actually sift through those lengthy descriptions and pinpoint the specific skills and keywords that the employer is really looking for.
That's amazing.
So this allows you to really fine-tune your resume and responses to directly address those key areas.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's like having a personalized cheat sheet,
Yeah.
highlighting exactly what they want to hear.
Right.
But it doesn't stop there.
Okay.
RoleCatcher also offers AI-powered analysis of your video interview practice.
That's really cool.
It is, right? So think of it as having this virtual coach who can provide feedback on your delivery, your body language, and the content of your answers.
That's really helpful.
Yeah, it's an incredibly valuable tool for honing your interview skills and building that confidence.
Definitely.
So you're not just prepped with the right information.
Yeah.
You're also refining your presentation, making sure you come across as polished and professional.
That's a good point.
All right, back to those questions. Let's tackle one that focuses on safety, which is a crucial aspect of this job.
Yeah.
They might ask you, how would you ensure your safety while working on a fishing vessel?
Right.
So this is where you demonstrate that you understand the inherent risks of working at sea
Yeah.
and that you're prepared to take proactive steps to mitigate them.
Definitely.
So you could talk about your familiarity with personal protective equipment,
Right.
understanding emergency procedures,
Yeah.
or even your awareness of potential hazards specific to different types of fishing gear.
Okay.
It's not just about knowing the protocols.
Yeah.
It's about showing them that you've thought it through
Right.
and that you are committed to working safely and responsibly.
Absolutely.
Okay, now this next question allows you to showcase your understanding of the bigger picture.
All right.
They might ask, can you explain the role of a fisheries observer and why it is important?
Okay.
So here's your chance to kind of step back and paint the full picture.
Yeah.
Describe how a fisheries observer acts as this scientific guardian of the ocean.
I like that.
Explain that you'll be collecting data on everything from catch composition to the types of gear being used and how that data feeds into critical processes like stock assessments, quota setting, and the development of sustainable management practices.
Right.
So it's about conveying that you see yourself as this vital link between what's happening on the water and the policies that protect our marine resources.
For sure.
And this kind of leads nicely into another question that they might ask, which is, can you explain how you would ensure the accuracy and reliability of your data collection?
All right, so this goes beyond just mentioning techniques like double-checking entries. You can talk about using calibrated equipment, understanding different sampling methodologies, and even being aware of potential sources of error and how to minimize them. If you have any proficiency with tools like GIS or statistical analysis, you can also mention that.
That's a good point.
That can underscore your commitment to data integrity.
It shows them that you're not just a data collector, but that you're a data scientist.
Right.
Someone who understands the methodologies and the importance of maintaining the highest standards of accuracy.
For sure.
All right, ready for one more question before we move on?
Absolutely. What else do they have for us?
This one digs into your ability to adapt.
Okay.
So they might say, can you describe a time when you had to adapt to a new situation while working on a project or in the field?
Oh.
Because the ocean is unpredictable.
Yeah.
So they want to know that you can think on your feet.
That's true.
So share an example of a time when plans changed suddenly.
Okay.
Maybe bad weather hit, equipment malfunctioned, or you had to shift gears to focus on a different task.
Right.
Explain how you assessed the situation, adjusted your approach, and contributed to a positive outcome.
That makes sense.
It's all about showcasing your problem-solving skills, your flexibility, and your ability to stay calm under pressure, which are essential qualities for thriving in this dynamic environment, like a fishing vessel.
For sure.
Okay, let's pause here for a moment. And
I think we should shift gears for a second and weave in some insights from the RoleCatcher Career Guide.
Sounds good.
One of the things that they highlight is the physical demands of this job.
Right.
Long hours, rough seas, potential encounters with wildlife.
Yeah.
It's not your typical 9 to 5.
No, it's definitely not for the faint of heart.
Definitely not.
And you know that this actually ties in nicely with another common interview question,
Oh, okay.
which is, how do you ensure that you stay motivated and focused when working independently for extended periods?
Yeah.
Because let's face it, you might be the only observer on board for weeks at a time.
That's a really good point.
Right.
That's where you really want to showcase your self-sufficiency and your resilience. You might want to talk about strategies that you use to stay on track.
Okay.
Creating a structured routine, setting personal goals. Or even using downtime for professional development, like brushing up on fish identification or reading up on the latest research.
So it's like you're a self-contained research unit.
Exactly.
But even though you're working independently, communication is still really key.
Oh, for sure.
And the guide also emphasizes the importance of clear and consistent reporting.
Absolutely. Regular communication with your supervisor, submitting timely reports, flagging any potential issues.
Right.
These are all essential even when you're miles offshore.
Right.
It shows that you can be both independent and a strong team player.
And speaking of teams, let's touch on another aspect highlighted in the career guide, which is career progression.
Yeah.
They mention that, traditional career paths in fisheries observing can be somewhat limited,
Right.
but things are evolving really rapidly.
That's a really important point with growing concerns about overfishing and illegal fishing.
Yeah.
The demand for skilled observers is definitely on the rise. And I think that this could be a fantastic time to get in on the ground floor of a field that's poised for growth.
So even if you don't stay a fisheries observer forever,
Yeah.
the experience that you gain is incredibly valuable.
For sure.
The guide mentions things like transitioning to management roles within the fishing industry,
Right.
government agencies, or even pursuing further education in fields like fisheries science.
Definitely, this role could really be a stepping stone to a wide range of exciting opportunities.
For sure.
But we don't want to get ahead of ourselves. We still have some interview prep to cover.
Right.
Remember, RoleCatcher's AI can be a huge asset in this process.
Yeah,
Their AI-powered interview practice is like having a personal coach in your pocket,
it is.
providing feedback on your delivery, your content, and even your body language.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's a super valuable resource for building confidence and refining your presentation skills.
Okay, are you ready for another question that delves into your technical expertise?
Hit me with it.
Describe your experience with different fishing techniques and gear.
Okay.
This one's all about showing them that you're not just passionate about the ocean,
Yeah,
but you also have a practical understanding of the industry.
I see.
This is where some extra research can really pay off.
Yeah, that's true.
Familiarize yourself with common fishing methods in the region that you're applying to.
Okay.
Things like trawling, long lining, gill netting, and be able to discuss their different applications and potential environmental impacts.
That makes sense.
You know, if you can speak the language of the industry, it really demonstrates a genuine interest and willingness to learn,
Yeah,
which can make a really big impression on the interviewers.
for sure.
Okay, one final question to really round things out.
Okay.
How do you handle conflict or disagreements that may arise on a fishing vessel?
Right.
Remember, you're working in a close quarters environment,
Mm-hmm.
and tensions can sometimes run high.
Definitely.
So this question is all about showcasing your interpersonal skills
Mm.
and your ability to navigate challenging social dynamics.
Right.
You really want to convey that you can remain calm and professional under pressure,
Mm-hmm.
that you're a good listener,
Yeah.
and that you can find constructive solutions to disagreements.
That's a good point.
You might even share an example of a time when you successfully mediated a conflict
Okay.
or helped to find common ground between differing viewpoints.
Makes sense.
It's about demonstrating that you can be a peacemaker, a diplomat, and a team player.
Yeah.
All essential qualities for a successful fisheries observer.
For sure.
Now, before we move on to the final part of our deep dive, let's pause for a moment.
Okay, so let's take a moment to circle back to something we touched on earlier.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of a fisheries observer as a guardian of the ocean,
Right.
that's not just a fancy title, it's a real responsibility.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that brings us to one of the key takeaways
Okay.
from the RoleCatcher Career Guide.
Okay.
The importance of familiarity with fishing techniques and gear.
Oh, for sure. Even if you haven't worked on a fishing vessel before,
Right.
taking the time to research different fishing methods, the types of gear that are used, and their potential impacts on the ecosystem,
Mm-hmm.
it's really going to demonstrate a genuine commitment to the field.
It's like learning a new language.
Yeah,
The language of sustainable fishing.
exactly.
And the more fluent you are,
Yeah,
the better equipped you'll be to really navigate the complexities of this role.
for sure. And don't forget, RoleCatcher's AI can be a huge asset here
Yeah.
in tailoring your responses to specific job requirements.
Right.
Their analysis of job descriptions can really help you pinpoint the exact skills and experience that they're looking for,
Okay.
allowing you to present yourself as the ideal candidate.
It's like having a personalized raid map for your job search,
Exactly.
guiding you every step of the way.
That's a really good way to put it.
Okay, so let's wrap up this deep dive
Right.
with a final thought to ponder.
Okay.
The guide mentions limited career advancement opportunities as a potential downside.
Right.
But could that be changing?
That's a really interesting question. I
Yeah.
think with the increasing focus on sustainable fishing practices
Yeah.
and the growing demand for skilled professionals in this field,
Mm-hmm.
I think we're really on the cusp of a major shift.
Okay.
I think this could be the perfect time to get in on the ground floor
Mm-hmm.
of a career that's not only rewarding,
Right.
but also vitally important for the future of our oceans.
It's an exciting time to be passionate about the ocean
For sure.
and to have the skills to contribute to its protection.
Absolutely.
So as you gear up for that interview,
Yeah.
remember all the insights that we've discussed today. Use RoleCatcher's AI to your advantage. And most importantly, let your passion shine through.
Definitely.
We got this